matched his young all-star teammate, and Cleveland pulls to within 3-2, winning at 112-97, winning the second half by 15, coming off a game in which Golden State won the second half by 16. So many parallel trends in these games. Eventually, they'll come together, and it'll be a really close finish.
You know, Isiah said one of those shots by Kyrie felt like a big one. It seemed like all 17 was big to me.
Yeah.
Because he was in a groove. He was knocking down shots. He was not knocking down tough shots, but he made it look easy. He had one of those games where he wished he could still be playing right now. It was fantastic for two guys to get 41. But they both were taking turns, and they were in a great rhythm, both guys.
And you know what? Last year he missed out, and he's played well this, so far in this series, but was criticized maybe a little bit after Game 4. But to see him bounce back after maybe a tough game, there was a lot of talk, a lot of noise, and come out here focused, determined, and just hitting tough shot after tough shot. You know, what you love about him is he's constantly attacking, he's constantly probing, a great ball handler, great at getting to the basket, finishing. He found some guys on assist. And of course, that mid-range game was in full effect today. I also thought Cleveland's spacing was good. So he had lanes to drive and lanes to operate, which he hadn't had maybe in Game 4. So really credit Kyrie Irving with just, a phenomenal performance here tonight.
We've spent a ton of time in this series talking about the isolation plays, and there were a ton of those tonight for Cleveland, but the spacing I thought was better. To your point, also, I thought he was more decisive at times when he got the ball rather than dribbling around and around and around before he made a move, just going to it.
I think right now he's in a great offensive groove, and we talked about him having back-to-back 30 games in the playoffs thus far, and then he came out tonight and dropped a 41. He's the type of player and he's the type of scorer that when they get into a groove, their groove will last for like 2 weeks. They'll get hot.
That's
and
a long groove.
Yeah, they'll stay in the thing for like 2-3 weeks. This isn't a guy that gets you 30 one night and then the next night have 9. Once he gets going like this, he's hard to turn off, and that's what I see happening to him in this series. I just see him getting better and better and more aggressive offensively every night out.
To your point about a groove, I think Tristan Thompson is in a rebounding groove. I mean, he's doing a nice job being able to get it off the glass. They shot 53%, and he still had 15 rebounds. But Isiah, you're right. This groove, Grant Hill, is the one where, as a defender, what did you take away from Kyrie? Everything is going well right now.
Everything. I mean, I don't know how you can stop him. In Golden State, one of the best perimeter defensive teams. Kyrie Irving just having his way. But speaking of defense, we have to really give credit to Cleveland, and particularly in the first half. Even though they gave up 61 points, we talked earlier, there were some spectacular plays by Klay Thompson to keep him in the game. But the defense overall was night and day from Game 4. Cleveland just getting out, making life difficult. We're actually going to be blinded by the 82 points combined of Kyrie and LeBron, but collectively, defensively, I thought Cleveland did a stellar job.
It was an intense game on both sides. There were 19 blocked shots in this game between the two teams. LeBron had 3 of them on his own, but guys were coming down and were sharp in terms of shot making for the most part. It looked like even some of the misses were good. Although I'll say this, Golden State, for a really good shooting team, has more air balls than anybody I've ever seen. Well, it's weird, right?
It is.
When you apply defensive pressure, particularly out on the perimeter, and you're challenging three-point shots, you're going to get bad misses and you're going to get some air balls. During the regular season, we didn't see great perimeter defense. I think as the playoffs have increased, particularly with OKC now at Cleveland, we're seeing perimeter defense being played, not at a high level, not at an excellent level, but good enough to contest shots and make people have to earn their baskets, and that's what we see. And when you're shooting that far away from the basket, sometimes you're going to have some ugly misses as well as some pretty makes.
Both teams will probably look back at the Warriors' possessions and see a few missed shots that they might not count on moving forward. In terms of, if you're Cleveland, you're probably thinking you dodged some bullets here.
Well, they did dodge some bullets. Obviously, what Isiah said was right. I mean, Cleveland made Golden State a little uncomfortable. They got in their space, forcing right here Klay Thompson to take an ill-advised shot. We've seen Steph Curry make this shot a number of times. He missed that there. And then Harrison Barnes, Smitty, I mean, he had 2 or 3 open looks. They were just letting him shoot, and he made those shots earlier. We've seen Steph Curry make this shot. No one's within 5 feet of him, but was unable to knock it down. So, not making shots at critical times. Once again, Harrison Barnes at top of the key. You know, Matt, they may have dodged a bullet a little bit here. Those were shots that we're accustomed to seeing. But, hey, it's a make or miss league. And, you know, they didn't make the shots. They relied too heavily on the perimeter shots. And what you saw from Cleveland, they mixed it up. You know, they mixed it up. They went to the basket. They got to the mid-range. They hit three-pointers. They got to the free throw line. So they didn't live on three-point shooting. They had a more balanced approach offensively.
You know, I look at it, Grant, and Harrison Barnes, it looked like he was playing a Draymond Green role in the offense, because every pick and roll, he was a roll and replace at the top. Usually I'm used to Harrison Barnes getting his three-point shots from the break down to the corner. He didn't look comfortable, Isiah and Grant, taking those top of the key threes. Hesitation, a little bit long for him. If he could have knocked down some shots, they'd have changed their defense a little bit.
And we know the top of the key on out, those are the longest three-point shots to make. As you come around on the side and in the corner, those are the short three-pointers. Draymond Green knocks down those long three-pointers like Clay and Steph does. Everyone else kind of struggles from that distance. So I thought having Barnes out there having to take shots from that distance as opposed to taking them on the side or in the corner where he's accustomed to taking those shots was a little different for him.
Barnes had a miserable night. 2 of 14 from the field, just 1 of 6 from the three-point line.